What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
There we go. All right, guys, welcome to the 312th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. We were here on Monday. We covered the first day of the state championships. We were here on Wednesday, but now we're going to recap day 3, and we're going to be joined by Coffee head coach Mike Coe via telephone right now. How's it going, Coach?
Good, how you doing?
Doing great. So congratulations on the state championship season. That was quite an environment on Wednesday. It was a great ball game right before 7A. What'd you see just from the environment and the way you guys closed out that perfect season?
You know, the thing that impressed me the most about our kids was I really felt like they were just loose and free, and the magnitude of the game didn't affect them. The venue, the travel, the amount of fans, and just the difference in playing at a regular high school stadium. I just thought they handled it like champs. I thought, having to go to Cartersville the week before, we stayed at the same hotel, tried to keep everything, the same as much as possible. But, traveling for OTAs and staying in hotels, I felt like we did a good job as a staff of trying to put our kids in that situation before we had to get to it, but obviously it's a state championship game and the magnitude's much higher. But I just felt like our kids handled it really well, and I didn't see any nervousness or anything like that. I thought they just treated it like a normal football game, and they listened to what we were trying to tell them with that. So I was just very impressed with our kids' ability to do that.
That's right. And I know you guys went up there, you said you stayed at that hotel, and we're going to check out the 6A game the night before. There was obviously a massive delay in that one. So what games did you guys get to catch on Tuesday?
Well, so what happened, me and Coach Hall, our O-line coach, we were a little ahead of the buses, but the traffic was absolutely horrible. And there was a little wreck up in front of us, and so, Coach Hall said, Coach, what do you think about go ahead and just send the buses to the bins and let them catch the rest of this game? If you want to let them stay a little bit for the 6A game, because if they get in this traffic, there's no way we're going to go get to the hotel, check in, change into their sweats, and then get back to the game. And I said, man, I agree. So we called our coaches driving the buses and said, listen, get off right now and take them to the bins. Me and Coach go to the hotel, get all the room stuff situated, the food and all that. And so it worked out fine. They got to actually go in there and watch, I think the second half maybe of the, was it the 3A game, I think, and then, you know, they know some of the TCC kids because we went to OTAs with them, and so they wanted to stay and watch a little bit, so we allowed them to stay and watch some of that game. And it was really valuable, I think, because, you know, they unloaded where we were going to unload the next day. They had to walk underneath the stadium, walk down the tunnel, actually got to walk on the field to go up into the stands. And so I think that really helped with just the next day. It wasn't a big wow factor. You know, they'd been there, they'd seen it, they'd been at the field level and all that. So I think that really helped.
That's right. And then how did you guys coordinate, just as a community, all the buses that came up? Who did you guys delegate that to, just to be in charge of?
Well, so I think there were like 3 different people that did it. Miss Becky, our team nutritionist, I think she organized like six of them, I think. And, you know, they'd done it the week before for Carsville. But I think we wound up bringing like 11 bus loads of people. So, man, it was packed. And I can tell you, Bucky's is glad that the Trojans made it to the state championship game, because when we stopped coming back, it was like all of Douglas was in Bucky's at 12 o'clock midnight, ordering sandwiches and burritos and everything you can think of.
Yeah, well earned, eating like state champs. Let's talk about the game a little bit. It kind of started out slow. Both teams were trading punches, but you guys did strike first. Great quarterback keeper, brilliant call, and then defensively you guys had them kind of figured out with the man coverage, things that you've been doing all season long. But what did you see just in the start of the game, the way you guys handled just establishing yourself?
Well, you know, the opening kickoff, Paul kind of lost the ball up in the just, you know, the dome is just different. And so we start off like the 11 or 12, and then Maurice pulled it. We hadn't really ran him a whole lot. We ran him against Carsville some, but we had a little more option game in there. He's really, really good at reading his own stuff. And so he pulled it and had a big gain. And I believe we only had 3 penalties on the day, and they're all false starts. And I think we got one down there, and it backed us up a little. So we really should have scored, got some points out of that first drive. But then, you know, defense locked in and held them and punted. And we wound up going back down there and scoring. And then I think the second touchdown, it was like a 4th and 7. And we felt like they would jump the sticks. You know, they felt like if we just sell the stick route, they'd jump it. And they did. They jumped it just enough, and old Bray, my son, got behind them just enough, and Maurice sprinted out. It was a one-man route, so it was either that or – but we felt like if we threw it away or threw an interception in zone, it was just like a punt. You know, they'd give it – we had good field position. So he laid that thing in the bucket, and Bray kept running and ran underneath it and put us up 14-0. And then we got the ball back again right there before the half, and that touchdown right before the half. We saved our timeouts. We had enough if we needed them. And Maurice hit Pat McCall. Pat did a really good job of hiding in there, acting like he was blocking the edge, and then he slid out in the flats, and we hit a little bootleg off of it, and he got a lot of good yak after that, got us down to like the 6, and punched it in 21-0, and we felt like we had to keep scoring. You know, obviously because they were down to Jefferson the week before, man, they came back quick, you know. And with us playing man-to-man, all it takes is one guy blow coverage, one guy fall down, or like you saw, a one-tip pass, you know, that fell into their hands. And you know, so we felt like we needed to keep scoring because we knew they wouldn't give up.
Yeah, those were great 4th down calls. Your son did play outstanding. Offensively, you guys were really physical, of course, also with the way Fred Brown was running the ball, capping off just a great season. What do you think it means, just guys like Fred Brown, for them to step up this season, elevate from junior to senior year, put it all on the field, and just really have a memorable performance? Because when people go back and look at that game, they look at the stats, they're going to see what Fred did, they're going to see what the defense did, but just to kind of have him bring that physicality in a big game against a great Creekside team.
Yeah, it's like I told everybody. The thing that impresses me the most about Fred is everybody in that building, every player on that field, both sides, everybody watching on TV at home, they knew that Zero was going to get the ball over and over. And everybody knows he's a marked man. That the whole game plan across the way is to limit him and stop him. But he just keeps wearing on you. It's not pretty at times. There's going to be some 1 and 2 yard gains. But it's like I tell him with the 1 and 2 yard games, they're still having to tackle you. They're still feeling the feeling of tackling you. And at some point, you're gonna play enough people that they're just like, it's not worth it. I'm not going to put myself in harm's way. And you've got to have the attitude. You've got to get in enough shape that you don't ever say, I'm not going to run this ball hard this play because I'm tired. You know, and we tell them all the time. I show them the Jimmy Johnson clip off of YouTube when he goes back to the University of Miami and he talks about fatigue making cowards. You know, that if you get fatigued, you're a coward. And our whole goal offensively is to play as fast as humanly possible and eventually get the guys on the other side fatigued. And our kids look for the other guys when they put their hands on their hips, or they take a knee over there at D-line, or they bend over, or they're breathing really hard. It kind of tells our guys, hey, let's amp it up another notch. Let's go. And that's the way Fred believes. That's the way he operates. That's the way we practice. And, you know, before you know it, he's got 35 carries, and you look like our O-line coach, Coach Hall's like, man, Fred had 160-something yards. There's no way. I said, well, Coach, you forgot the 3 or 4 that he popped for 25 to 30 yards, you know, and then he had 2 or 3 that were 10 yards, and he had a bunch of 5 to 8 yarders, you know, and it just adds up. And you see in the second half, he pops some of those big runs because of guys missing tackles, you know, and he's built for that. And last year he wasn't in good enough shape. I had to suspend him a game to get his mind right. And this year he came back, and I told him, I said, you're either going to be everything I want you to be, or you're not going to be anything for us. You're not going to play. You know, you'll get in as a backup. And he made his mind up last offseason that he was going to believe what I told him, and he went to work, and he didn't stop working until he got on the bus to go home. And so I'm just really, really proud of what he decided to be.
Yep, he showed everyone that he dedicated himself to this season. And as I said, a performance like that is just going to mean so much to him. I mean, the rest of his life to show up like that in that big game. And I do think the body language you guys had the entire game, I think it embodied the toughness on the field. And Creekside knew that going in. Coach Dixon said that he knew it'd be that type of ball game. He made this last week of practice extremely physical, and they obviously were prepared for it. You guys just out-executed it. But what did you see just with Creekside, the challenges they presented with Travis Terrell making plays on both sides of the ball, special teams, but just the fight that they showed in that game?
Well, you knew just from watching them on film, you know, and everybody talked about their trip to California. Well, I mean, my goodness, you know, they played one of the top 5 teams in the nation. They took the trip out there, you know, and you know, there was times in that game where they just made some mistakes, and Mayor Day just made unbelievable plays in the air throwing the ball, you know, and then you watch them against Jefferson, and you know, Sammy Brown lights them up early, and then it's like nothing. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to swarm him, but we felt like a couple things. They had some kids going both ways, and there's no way they could hold up to it. And I think if you go watch it, you see number 0, who's a heck of a football player, but he didn't play a lot of offense after the first couple drives. You know, they held him out to save him for defense. And now number 6, that little joker, he's good. He played both ways a lot. And we tried to limit number 4, who was their best receiver by far. They kept going empty, and it was hard to double team him. And then, you know, after that second touchdown, I told Coach Granado, our defense coordinator, I said, play 4 in the box. I don't care if the quarterback scrambles, we'll rally. But you get somebody in number 4's face and don't let him off the ball. Beat him up some and play our best corner over the top of him. And we started doing that last drive and made the quarterback hold the ball a little longer, and that's when we got those 2 big sacks, and then LG Paul got a big holding call, and obviously 4th down we got the interception. But once we started getting somebody out there in his face, slowed him down a little bit, and then obviously we finished it offensively. But, you know, again, I told our kids we're not going to change who we are, you know. We're going to try to run it down their throat. them two big D linemen play O-line as well, and they're going to get tired, and eventually they're going to start standing up and peeking a little bit, and we're going to double team the mess out of them over and over and over, and then let Fred do the rest. And then I thought Coach Berger, our offense coordinator, did a tremendous job of mixing in the option game and the play action at the perfect times to keep them off balance.
Yep, it went extremely well, and I think they targeted Shane Kelly, you're talking about number 4, 19 times in that game. So they were trying desperately. Coach Foster, Cartersville's coach, said after he faced you guys, thought you guys had overall the best secondary they faced all season long, and I think it's clear it's not just one guy, it's all of them. Each of them are able to handle the responsibility. They can come down and tackle, and then, as you said, no penalties.
Yeah, I'm so proud of our defensive backs. I brought in Coach Alex Brown from Valdosta that I actually coached at Madison, and then his last 2 years he played at Lowndes. He moved with his dad, and he played at VSU, was a nickelback on their last national championship team, and he's such a good role model. He's married and has 2 little kids, and he teaches at Indian Creek Elementary, teaches PE, and I wanted a younger guy. We have 2 DB coaches, Coach Striplin's the other one. And those 2 guys, man, they fell in love with each other off the bat, just great friends. They bounce off each other, bounce ideas, and the kids see that, and the kids really took a liking to Coach Brown. And you hardly ever hear him yell. He's very quiet, but he gets those kids to play their guts out. And all those guys have the great ability to just put the play behind them, whether it's good or bad. I mean, you look at Hancock over there, they targeted him some. He gave up a few catches. He dropped a pick 6.
That's right.
He played the long ball. He played the long ball perfect all night. And then he finally, at the end, stepped up there and made a play and got the interception and to seal the game. And the great thing about our DBs, like you said, they'll come up and tackle. And they're all interchangeable. They can all play all 5 positions better. Then we go to our Gator package. We bring in Travis Adams. We play with 6 DBs. But, Travis is about as big as our linebackers, and he runs a full forward. So he'll always go in the slot, and we'll bring him off the edge some. And they're just really smart, high football IQ kids, and really physical and can come up and stop the run. And just really proud of all of them. They did a tremendous job all year.
Yep, and then they've been getting it done in the classroom. That was brought up a ton. You guys got to finish this semester strong. We got signing day coming up. So what's that going to look like for this special group of seniors? Can you just walk us through any big offers or some of the guys?
Yeah, so Ant Paulk's going to be signing with Charleston Southern next Wednesday at 11 a.m. He's actually early enrolling. He'll be our first kid ever at Coffee High School to do that.
Dang.
And then Fort Valley State just called me today. They want to bring Fred and Lorenzo Harvey and LG Paulk in on a visit on January 13th. So I'm hoping all that comes to fruition. I talked to Coach Manchester at Georgia Military, and they've offered Fred and Xavier Grant and Brett. So I'm hoping, those guys have an opportunity. Coach McCullum from Swanee College, he's coached at Georgia Tech and all over, great guy. He came. And he wants Tyreek Edwards really, really bad. And Tyreek's a great athlete, 3-sport athlete, really good grades. I think that'd be a great place for him, And so we don't have a lot of seniors. I think we have 20 of them, and probably 8 to 10 of them will have an opportunity to go on and keep playing college football if that's what they desire. And we're going to work our tails off to help them do that.
And then the last question, Coach, it was brought up during the broadcast, but winning a state title in Florida, coming to Georgia, I know some people said it was going to be harder for you guys in Georgia. You guys certainly faced the challenge, but just the way you guys won this year, the total domination, best defensive team statistically, perfect season. So what did it mean just to come into this coffee program that's been searching for the first ever state title and to be able to see that community celebrate the big win?
I'll be honest with you, man. I made the comment they said I couldn't win in Georgia. Some people in Florida did, and I'll admit to it. Sometimes I get a little petty with stuff. But then when I watched The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, I saw that he took the smallest little slight and always used it. I didn't feel as bad about it. But I think our kids feed off of that too. But I'm just so happy for Coach Granado, our defense coordinator. He's been in a bunch of them, and came up short. And Coach Bob Hall, who's one of the best O-line coach in the state of Georgia, finally got him one. Coach Strickland, our DB coach I mentioned earlier, finally got him one. And then our superintendent, Dr. Morris Lease, is top of the line. Nobody loves Coffee County, Georgia more than him and our kids and our school system. And man, he was jacked up after the game. Our principal, Van Allen, he played at Coffee, and Dr. Leach played at Coffee. So my two bosses are former Coffee linebackers, and they're just great supporters. And anything we need, man, they work hard to get. It's just to see the smile on them two guys' faces and all that. And then when you get on that stage and you look back and you see the whole dang community up there waving towels like it's a Pittsburgh Steelers game, and the joy on their faces, and just the messages we've gotten since we won this thing. And you stop at Buc-ee's on the way home, and I'm telling you, it's like a dang reunion in there. And everybody's hollering and screaming, and just it's a great place. When I took this job, I thought it was a hidden gem. I thought it was a gold mine. From my personal standpoint, it just gives me validation that, hey, the way we do things, is a little different, but loving kids and pushing them to be their best and all that comes first with us, and it just validates, hey, it works. It's a proven system. And when you combine that with the resources we have and the people we have, the sky's the limit. You're not going to win a state championship every year, but as long as you're in a conversation and you're producing good kids and they're working hard and having the opportunity to do it, that's all you can ask for. And I'm in a place that can happen.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Coach. I'm so happy for you guys coming up to Cartersville, coming up to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, showing the coffee product, winning like you guys did. It's incredible. It's such a special season for you guys. I can't wait to see what you guys do next year. Thank you so much for coming on, Coach.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
You bet. All right. So it does not get much better than that, guys. I mean, what a team. They went up against Creekside, and I thought it's a really tough matchup because, as he was pointing out, with the versatility they have offensively, it's been a challenge for everyone to stop them because they can do everything. They got a mobile quarterback. They've got a ton of targets. They got a two-headed attack in the backfield. But they seem to have the perfect formula to make it difficult because they can go man-to-man with their defensive backs. Creekside was also able to go man-to-man in that game. But I think doing it all season long, like Coffee has, I think they were prepared for that. They knew that Creekside was going to try to set up the deep ball, but as long as they stopped the majority of them, maybe they give up one, they felt that they could keep the pressure and try to make them one-dimensional and just really play team defense very well. Go sideline to sideline. And when you're going up against Creekside, they might not necessarily have the speed advantage. It's pretty even in that aspect, but they can match the speed. And then when you're playing together as a unit, you're not giving up the big play. You're making it really difficult. And then they looked well-conditioned and well-prepared to close that game out. I've been impressed with them all season long. I thought Creekside might be a tough matchup, but I went back and watched the game yesterday and then again the rest of it this morning, and it truly was a dominant effort. And one thing you will notice, the body language of that entire team, they looked ready for every single snap. They were playing with so much energy the entire game, and you can tell they really wanted it. And it was an outstanding season, and the crowd was amazing. That's a town in Douglas, Georgia, that football means a lot. There's not much else in the area. I think it's in between like Statesboro and Savannah, except that proud community that really has a rich tradition, but has just been waiting to be able to call itself state champs. And I think it's going to mean a lot. And going back and watching it, it's going to be interesting to see what they look like next year. I think they're going to be right in it again. And as you said, they have the formula that just works. And so that's really impressive. And he downplayed it. But that is a narrative I see a lot. Coaches coming into Georgia that won state titles, people always say it's harder to do in Georgia. They said it when Rush Propst came from Hoover to Colquitt County. He was able to get the state title there. They said it even with Josh Niblett going to Gainesville. It's like, okay, he was at this established program, but it's going to be a lot harder in 6A in Georgia. Well, Coach Coe passed that test in just a few short seasons and got them to where they've been wanting to go. So congrats to him, congrats to the Trojans, and I'm excited to look at you guys this signing day, excited to see the ring ceremony, and then what you guys are able to do next year. But let's go ahead, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back on the side to talk about Class 7A and my Walton Raiders.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
All right, welcome back. And so before we talk about 7A, I want to point out that I thought this season really showed how much excitement there is around high school football, especially in the state of Georgia. How did the season start? That Hughes-Carrollton game, televised matchup. Everyone was talking about it. I mean, that was right before the college season, NFL took off. There was so much interest in that matchup. It was an incredible game. Both teams were loaded. And I think games like that, it gets people to realize, I mean, this is high-quality football. This is a lot of fun to watch. You look at our broadcast this year. Not only did we have over 30 games, we were able to upload them to our YouTube page, archive them there. People are going back and watching it. That's huge for the players. It's huge for people just enjoying it that might have been at a different game and want to check out a big matchup. GPB, same thing. They televised a ton of great matchups this year. Unbelievable talent. And all that coming together to the big test in the bins, what is the attendance going to look like? Because it's going to the middle of the week. It's going from Center Park to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I think the ticket prices are a little higher as well. But here's the news right here. Finals draw record paid attendance. The football championships return to Mercedes-Benz Stadium drew a record paid attendance of, I think this is unofficial number, but 50,622 this week, far outpacing the 27,442 average total attendance from the previous 4 years at Georgia State's Center Park Stadium. We're pleased but not surprised, said Dr. Hines. He said this yesterday. The move back to Mercedes-Benz Stadium was well received. After all, it's the world's premier venue. The games played on Monday through Wednesday worked well and placed a spotlight on our games throughout the country. And you saw that with some of the great camera work, cataloging these plays. A big interception by Jack Lawson in the Milton game made SportsCenter top 10. And I'd like to see that in the future. You're getting a great play captured with a big-time camera angle in a big game, big venue. I think we're going to see some of our plays end up on the national media a lot more often. So let's go to the next paragraph real quick. Hines said the attendance numbers are not final as they do not include complimentary passes, which could add 5,000 or more to the total. That's over the course of the days. That's talking about like teachers, bands, administrators that are helping out. We had Southwest Atlanta there that was honored with the suite. So you have college coaches that were there. So I mean, there were just a ton of people there. The previous record was 47,922, and that was the final year at the Georgia Dome. So this is an all-time record this year during the middle of the week. Absolutely incredible. This year's success proved the Monday-Wednesday schedule can work. The GHSA had played midweek finals only one time before in 2018. The last times the Benz was the venue. Played over the 2 days, those 8 games drew 40,463, which is interesting. That was only 2 days of action. So I think it's only going to get bigger. This is kind of the first year back at the Benz. It worked out well, and I think going forward they're going to be happy to have them there. Mercedes-Benz is typically booked and is more expensive on the weekend that the GHSA would normally use, but the success of the midweek games mean this could become a tradition, also boosting attendance this season. Again, with 3 flag football finals, flag football was added to the championship schedule in 2020. And I thought the flag football games were very exciting. That Pope Alatoona game was next level, a huge way to end it. You had some historic matchups there, and that's an exciting way to start things off. So let's look at, we had 50,000 this year. Last year at Center Park, 40,462, same amount of games, same amount of flag football. And then in 2021, we only had 22,631. So that's a huge jump. I guess that was, I don't really know why that one didn't draw that much. That's interesting. But the numbers are back, and I think everyone that came out, supported their teams, came to watch the action, deserves a lot of credit.
You got to mention too the college coaches that were there. It's like a whole,
Yeah.
was there, Brett Key was there.
Yes. So when I got there on Wednesday, I saw Dustin Royston. He was a former fullback at UGA when I was there. He's now at Middle Tennessee State coaching linebackers and special teams. And then I saw Coach Bobo. He was in the press box. And then Coach Key was there. Kirby Smart was there. The college coaches were all over. I think that's something that's going to become way more common, because if we play these games in the middle of the week, Florida, Alabama, the other teams are playing on the weekend right before it. And so their games are already going to be done. They'll play on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then we come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And that gives them a huge opportunity to come out and check out Georgia's games, which is obviously something they want to do anyways with all these outstanding players. But that's a huge success story right there. So everyone that came out deserves credit. Wouldn't have been a historic crowd without all the support, and even the teams that lost, it's still fun to be there. And we'll just get into it because I saw Walton lose. But just in the first half, seeing them compete before the disappointment of just knowing how tough that loss was for that group of guys, I mean, it was an incredible game. It was a lot of fun. There were so many big plays. Seeing Hunter Teal, just seeing all the athletes, the classic Milton-Walton rival. Milton was in my region back in the day when I was there. So the atmosphere was incredible. The game was awesome. Seeing the instant replays up on the Halo board, everything about it was just fun. Obviously, would have been nice if Walton had won, but I'll give Milton a lot of credit. They came out and just, I guess they took that title. I mean, they wanted it. They showed up and out-executed. The one thing I did notice, because when you're at the game, sometimes you go back and watch it, you catch things you weren't aware of. So right at the third quarter, Walton goes into the half 14-7. It was a very competitive first half, but it was dominated by Walton in terms of time of possession. And defensively, they were really stopping that Milton offense, coming up with a ton of big plays, a forced fumble, making it difficult. Luke Nickel was the only one, the quarterback for Milton, was the only one that attempted a rush in the first quarter. I think one other guy took a carry in the second, but that was because Walton had the ball for so many minutes and so many possessions. Well, then in the third quarter, you have Walton getting the ball first. Milton turned it over on their first possession. Well, now Walton has the turnover on the second snap. It was just a handoff. Maybe there was a read component involved, but it was going to Boterford, and he simply fumbled it. That's obviously something that can happen, but he fumbles it right in their territory. So it's 14-7 at this point. Walton's leading. Walton's defense comes up huge on that series. They get I think it was a 2-yard gain, a great open field tackle on a pass into the perimeter. Milton gets some penalties, and they're backed way up. They have to attempt a 37-yard field goal, trailing 14-7, where it looked like they could have potentially tied it up right there. And so a lot of the Milton fans understandably thought that was a missed opportunity. Oh man, we could have tied it up. We can't give Walton the ball back, still trailing. They're just going to score. That was our chance right there. Well, Milton, they were confident in that matchup. They were happy to take the points. They had the game plan in the second half. They liked the way their defense was getting after Hecklinski, laying huge hits in the first half, getting them into the third and longs. The DBs were all over the Walton receivers. Even Hunter Teal's touchdown catch in that first half had to go up over 2 defenders, use his strong hands. Walton was able to run the ball successfully, but you felt like Milton was ready. They didn't get overwhelmed by Walton's offensive firepower in that first half. They're ready to go. So they take the 3 points. Well, their kicker misses it on the first attempt. I watched a replay of this, and I had no idea. I was standing right under there. Wyatt Sonderman came running on late as Milton's getting ready to kick the ball. And this is just according to the broadcast. Maybe the coaches can tell me differently, but they throw the flag thinking that there's 12 players on the field when Wyatt comes on. Well, turns out there was only 10. He was just coming on late. Maybe he's not even normally on the field goal unit. They were maybe waiting to see what Milton was going to do. So he comes on late. They throw the flag. Milton kicks it, misses it, and they say, oops, actually, our bad. There's actually 11 players on the field, not 12. You guys get to re-kick it. And so they re-kick it and make it. And those 3 points turned out to be pretty huge, because you look late in that game, Milton was leading by 3, and maybe Walton would have gone to the run game. So I guess that was just a missed call, but it was odd that it just got shrugged off. It was like, oh, well, that was a mistake. It's like, well, hello. That just cost them 3 points, and their 7-point lead turned out to be a huge play, and that sparked a 17-0 run. So I'm not blaming it on that, but it was also interesting because the kick goes wide right. It gets lodged in the net, and everyone knows whether it's a kickoff or a field goal, the team that's kicking has a special kicking ball. The quarterback has his preferred ball. Sometimes the kicker wants it. I'm not talking about like deflate gate, but the balls are different. they have a certain type of football they want to kick with based on throw. Maybe it's been worn down a little more, has less friction in the air, but the ball's stuck in the net. I'm sitting here trying to give it back to the referee. I'm like, ref ball. And then finally he turns around, but it's like, wait a minute, why doesn't this officiating crew know that the kicking team is going to want this ball back? It's not baseball where the ump just throws one out of his bag. So I just thought that was weird that they weren't aware. And it's like, yeah, refs have to tune out noise during the game. They got to focus. But it's like you just made a bad call, apparently, according to the broadcast, where you thought there were 12 guys. You say never mind, and then I'm sitting here trying to give you the ball back, and it takes me like literally going on the field to be like, oh yeah, we might need that football back. It's like, seriously, guys. Just watching that play again, I didn't realize if that's true, and I'm just going by what the ruling on the field was. That's pretty crazy. You can't call 12 guys on the field when there's 11. You just can't do that in that moment. That's a little crazy to me, and something I haven't seen happen before. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw that happen, and it ended up being a tough play. But that's not why Walton lost the game. It was the turnovers, and that's what plagued them. And Coach Reeves said before the game in the production meetings to Matt Stewart and the guys calling the game, he said, in order to stop this Walton offense, we have to make them question themselves, which I thought, if you watch that game, it's exactly what happened. Brilliant defensive play calling, and the way they disguised the pressure and that Milton defensive line, I was so impressed with just their technique, their ability to get the hands off them, get Skinny in the gap, flush Jeremy out of the pocket, and not give him time. Cam Lloyd had one catch in the first 3 quarters for 6 yards. Why is that? Because Walton needs those plays to develop in order for him to get open and get those big plays. They need time. If Jeremy's having to get rid of the ball, if he's taking sacks, he's not going to be able to throw it 40 yards downfield. He's not going to be able to find Cam Lloyd on the crossing routes. And so they did such a good job just through the pass rush of eliminating the potential of Jeremy to go up to Cam Lloyd. He did hit him later in the fourth quarter for a huge play. Incredible catch, incredible effort. You thought that could have been a spark. It was a huge play. They've been doing it all season long, but to hold him to just 1 yard, 6 catches, that was obviously something they knew was going to take a whole defensive effort to do. You've got to get them off their time, and you can't just let Jeremy make the first guy miss, get his eyes downfield, and then throw these bombs with his arm talent. Another thing, thought Milton did a good job with their safety play. They didn't let anyone get behind them all game, and then that group on the perimeter, they were able to jump routes and get ahead. And that just is a testament to the way the safeties were in position, a testament to how they were able to jam them at the line, be physical, throw them off on the routes. And so they produced a couple turnovers in a row. One was a sideline interception, and that's something they obviously watch on film. Jeremy loves going to Bam Bride on the sideline. He's so elite at going up and getting it. Jack Lawson comes, jumps it underneath, gets his feet down incredibly. That's the play that made SportsCenter top 10. Then you have Ty Redmond, the next possession. Walton's trying to go to Wyatt Sonderman on a curl route. He's right in front of him the whole time. Easy interception. And then we all know the final interception of the game. Jeremy's at the 1 yard line. There's 55 seconds left, and he's trying to get out of the end zone. That was the most important part. If Walton's going to have a drive, they've got to get a positive play just to get out of the end zone pass the ball. They try to go to Hunter Teal. He's not really he hasn't really completed his route yet. They aren't on the same page. Easy interception, pick six, game over. So that second half by Milton, I don't know if they could have played any better. And then let's talk about their offense real quick. Man, Mark Astley had one of the better games I've seen. His ability to threaten defenses on the quick slant routes, his yards after catch, his routes, it's incredible. Then once he got going, C.J. Wiley had the early fumble. Mark stepped up. Well, now C.J.'s going to do his thing. You got DeBron Gatlin coming up huge, making plays all over the field. He almost made an incredible catch that would have iced the game. They ruled it incomplete. It was a close call. It looked like he caught it. Then it came out later. I never got the explanation on that one, so I have to go back and watch it. Initially, I thought he caught it, but the ball was out. I think it was reviewed. Once again, when you're at the game, it's hard to tell opposed to watching it. And then thought the run game was impressive for Milton. You had T.J. Lester, who has been battling injuries this season. He comes from a great family. I think they all have been doing it at an elite level. And he showed up in the big game. That's not surprising. But then Amari Anderson, a guy that didn't get involved in the first half. Once Milton was able to get their first lead, knowing that they could control the clock, which would be huge. That was the game plan, to keep the ball out of Walton's hands. Get the quick stop, get the quick turnover, and then when you get the ball back, hold it. Have these punishing drives. They went to Amari Austin on 3 straight carries. He was part of that 7-yard drive. And then once you have all those pieces going, and they didn't even really need to go to Ryan G, their tight end. They had the whole offense going, and then that's when you're able to basically neutralize a talented Walton defense by the very fact that at these skill positions you do have better athletes, and they were each able to step up. And so when you look at Milton's victory, I was talking about Coffey, Fred Brown, talk about the two-way game with Pierce County. That's obviously McGatha. There's one or two guys that are having a memorable performance with Milton. I think all of them stepped up and contributed in their own way. I think they all can be very proud of the plays they made in the key moments. And then Luke Nickel, what else can you say? He had the one interception, but 21 of 30 passing, over 240 yards, and he just did a great job all season long, getting the ball to all those different receivers. And then think about the big victories Milton had in the playoffs. And this way, if you're a Walton fan, I know that's tough, but this Milton team, they beat Colquitt County in the quarterfinals. They went on the road and beat Grayson in the semifinals, and then beat Walton. All 3 of those teams were in the top 25 nationally. And if you look at the rankings I posted yesterday for 7A, I got Milton number 1, Walton number 2, Grayson number 3, Colquitt number 4. So they beat the 2, 3, and 4 to get to number 1. You got to tip your hats. They're obviously going to be extremely talented next year as well. They return about 90% of their team. But that's just the thing with Walton. They're going to have to replace a lot, but that's what they said all year. The only one that can stop this offense is ourselves. I do think Milton had a little bit to do with that defensively, the way they were able to disrupt the Walton offense. I don't think it was just the mistakes, but certainly they did not play their best game, and they really got thrown off their game because they were running the ball so well, but then once they had to pass their way back into it, Milton just pinned their wings back, so to speak, and just dominated. It was, you kind of could tell in that second half that it was going to be one of those games. And they just kept producing the big turnover over and over and over again. And it was a tough one. But we'll see what they were able to do moving forward. It's going to be a big offseason for a lot of their prospects. Luke Nickel, all these guys, they have big decisions to make. The spotlight definitely grew after what they just did this season and in the playoffs. And then Coach Reeves, he's done such a good job, filled the big shoes after Coach Clack left. A lot of people thought, man, that's going to be tough for him to accomplish what Coach Clack did, leading them to the first ever state title. He does it in just 2 years. That entire Milton coaching staff is incredible. The way they game plan, and you can tell it's position by position. They're all doing the right things. The route running for the receivers, they're all complete receivers. They can do the deep ball. They can do the little things right. The tight end position, the offensive line play, and then the technique of their defensive line, their linebackers, their ability to produce turnovers, the kicking game. Everything about what they're doing is incredible, and they're the 7A champs for a reason. So, tough loss for Walton. I thought I'd get to see them win the state title, but looks like I will have to wait longer. But great season, nonetheless, a tough one. And they finished number 2 in all the polls. Looks like AJC has them 2, obviously. Milton number 1. Then the consensus composite has Colquitt at number 3. Man, GPV put Colquitt County at number 7. I don't know about that. Not the way they played Milton. They had. Yeah. No, number 7, that's a little disrespectful. If I'm going to be honest, 12-1. Like,
no, they should at least be top.
Yeah.
They had incredible.
Especially when you look at what Camden did. It's like Colquitt beat them. Like, hello. Grayson came in at number 4. Carrollton 5. Mill Creek tied with Camden for 6. Buford 8. Norcross 9. Westlake 10. Then you had other teams getting votes. Valdosta, Newton, and North Gwinnett. 6A, let's look at that real quick before we close it out. Thomas County Central 1, Woodward 2, Douglas 3. I agree with that. I put them 3. Rome 4, Marist 5, Gainesville 6. Rome's obviously 4 because they played Thomas County Central so close. Lee County 7, Hughes at number 8, Roswell 9, Houston County 10. No other teams got votes. In 5A, Coffee 1, Creekside 2, Jefferson 3, Cartersville 4, tie for 5th, Ware County, and Warner Robins. You got Hiram 7, a tie at number 8, Dalton, Cass, and then also getting votes, Harris County at 10, Calhoun, and Kell. In 4A, Perry, Stockbridge, Benedictine, North Oconee, Spalding, Bainbridge, Stars Mill, Central Carroll, Stevenson, LaGrange, Troop. And then in 3A, interesting, Calvary Days, the only team that didn't appear in the finals that finished in the top 2. They come in at number 2. Cedar Grove 1, Savannah Christian 3, Mary Persons 4, Lumpkin and Carver tied for 5th. And it looks like everything else is pretty. Oh, sorry. In Class A Division 2, man, Bowden number 1, Sly County got number 2, Manchester number 3. That's tough for them to come in at number 3. They played them extremely close in that finals, and they did beat Bowden in the season opener, so I would have put them at number 2. Nonetheless, that's the final rankings, and I think maybe the final show of the year. Who knows, we might have something to do on National Signing Day or the early signing day next week, but we will be focused on the Georgia Elite Classic. You can go to the Score Atlanta website or the Georgia Elite Classic website for more information. That will be at the end of the month in Rome, Georgia. Should be a lot of fun. We've added a ton of games. It will all be broadcasted on Peachtree Sports Network, and we'll have that for you. So thank you so much. Congrats to all the state champs and a phenomenal 2023 season. We'll be back.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.